Right, so in this session we're going to talk about messaging and identity, and yet again joined on the sofa by the Wonder Twins, Ross and Justin. Wonder Twin powers Office 365 Activate. There we go. So Justin, this is kind of more your patch than Ross's, I suppose. So talk about messaging. I mean, I would argue messaging, Exchange is the workhorse of Office 365. It's the most logical first step for organisations. So, do you really think, for those out there that are slightly dubious about whether Microsoft can truly run an enterprise-grade messaging service, do you think it's really, really fit for purpose and ready to rock?
Well, let's begin. Email's email, and at the end of the day, it's a bit boring. But like you say, it's usually the first workload that goes over. And Exchange as an email server product is probably one of the most popular in the world. So if you are going to go and use Exchange, who better to deploy it than the vendor? So by that very nature, might as well use Microsoft. They have the experience. They've obviously developing from, I don't know when Exchange was first invented.
I remember 5.5 back in the day.
And I'm from 5.5.
Yeah.
So taking it into that cloud space is a natural evolution. You as an IT team, email's a necessary service to a company, an organisation. But day-to-day administration, backups, monitoring, changing tape drives, storage allowance, policies, they distract the IT team where they could be getting on with something a bit more exciting, a bit more productive. So move those services to the cloud. So you have enterprise-grade availability, enterprise-class service, and on a pound-for-pound basis, if you try and replicate what Office 365 does for you on-premise, you just can't come close. 50 gig mailboxes, unlimited archiving, it's all there available as a service.
Okay. So there are customers out there going, oh, but you don't understand. I've got this archive product, or I'm still on 2003 Exchange, or I've got this problem and that problem. I mean, we must have seen it all.
We have, and that's the benefit of .NET. We've got this reference architecture type approach of taking you from your as-is place, discovering what you've got, and giving you the best transformation for your business. So whether it's cutover migrations using a third party with an Exchange Online target, or using hybrid functionality to allow you that onboarding and offboarding capability as and when required with a full coexistence experience, we've got an architecture that will actually get you from A to B.
Okay. So moving away from messaging, because I think it's a reason. I don't want to say it's easy, Justin. I mean, my goodness, we spend an awful lot of time doing this stuff.
I'll just move this way.
but something that's a little bit easier to get your head around, I suppose.
It's easy to get your head
around. It's very binary. I mean, there's a lot of complexities in there, but actually it's tried and tested how you get from A to B.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's touch on identity a little bit, because I think identities are probably an underutilized resource in organizations. Everybody's got AD, everyone knows AD, but that pushing into the cloud and all of a sudden having this kind of really kind of global cloud-based authentication mechanism that you can use pretty much for anything, he says tentatively. So, I mean, what would be your conversation to customers that are saying, tell me about this identity thing, Justin. Why should I do this? What's it going to give me?
So this is the thing, the Azure AD and Azure AD Premium give you, I like to think it gives you flexibility and scalability. So the Office 365 product set is always evergreen, and Microsoft are always developing and delivering new feature sets. Azure AD Premium gives you that gateway to other identity models. So if you are looking to use other cloud services, whether it's Salesforce or Dropbox, you don't have to set up that identity model from your infrastructure to everybody individually. Go into the Azure AD Premium, and that will give you that gateway into these other services. But it's going to give you extra flexibility in services that are easy to deliver. So multi-factor authentication. Long ago, you have to deploy your own services, tokens. It's all gone. It's a flick of a switch, assignment of a license, and user-enabled for enhanced security and multi-factor authentication.
Okay. So, I mean, I often say to customers when I go in there that identity is probably the single most important thing you'll do. Now, that's maybe slightly overcooking it, but I think get it right, and from an enterprise architectural point of view, you could just tick one massive box, and everything else can fall into that.
But from a user point of view, you want to be an identity.
Single.
A single identity. I don't want to have a username for this, a username for that. What's my password this? What's my password for that? And this whole concept of user principal names and SIP addresses and email addresses. Everybody knows what an email address is. make that your identity. You as the architect, the back-end service knows that it's different things, but give that person, that end user, one thing to remember. That username, that password is your gateway to all of these services, whether it's Office 365, whether it's Intune and EMS, whether it's Salesforce, and you can pass through using that one piece of information.
And you're right, Sean. I mean, it is fundamentally the groundwork. You need to get identity right because it ties into that concept of single identity. And how long have we had probably discussions between us with historical clients where that nirvana was single sign-on? Well, actually, that is now feasible, but we're talking about single identity. If I'm challenged as a user, irrespective of whether it's Salesforce, it could be Facebook, it could be 365, it could be Exchange, or it could even be our new intranet site.
Or dare I say, some kind of Mac OS thing.
Let's not push it.
But it's there, and it is absolutely now achievable.
Fantastic. So I suppose it'd be, again, rude of us not to touch on a couple of the additional features of these things as well. So you've got things like password write back, you've got self-service password reset.
Exactly. This is one of the things that Azure AD Premium gives. It starts empowering the user. So long time ago, putting in the ability for users to control their own identity, their own information, their own passwords, required extra systems. Like I say, it's now a flick of a switch, users register, and they can be out of the office, out of their infrastructure, out of their Active Directory, but still have full control of what they're doing. Reason my password's expired, go and reset it. And the next time you go into the office, that password's there as well. So you are one person wherever you exist.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I suppose the last feature, which is something that a lot of companies invest a lot of money into, is some kind of multi-factor authentication thing. Again, that's cooked into the product as well.
Exactly, yeah. So whether it's phone factor, landline, email, or the Authenticator app, to make it as seamless as possible, you can enable that, but have the flexibility of turning that off when you're behind a known wall. So when you're on the network, you don't want people having to log in twice, but multi-factor authentication, turn it off. But know that your data's secure when you're off the network, where they will have to do multi-factor authentication.
And they're enterprise grade as well, without fail. I mean, like one-time passcodes to mobile phones, having your own memorable questions where you can specify the answers as an individual, all of that's there, out the box.
Fantastic, fantastic. So now for a shameless plug. Why us? I mean, everyone and his dog's doing mail migrations into 365. Why are we special?
So like I say, we've got the reference architecture model where we are going to come in, do the evaluation, and get you deployed as quickly, as cost effectively, and as professionally as possible, taking into account your infrastructure, your ways of working, your process, to make it as easy as possible. Plus we have links to the Microsoft Onboarding Center where we'll utilize free resource available to the customers where it's appropriate.
Fantastic. And you get to meet Justin and you get to meet Ross. So for all of your Office 365 migration needs, especially if it's messaging or modern workplace or devices, come to .NET.